Hello and welcome to a special edition of AnalystANGLE, where we'll continue our discussion around what to know and how to prepare for the next frontier of AI in business. Our view here at theCUBE Research is that 2025 will represent the year of the rise of agentic AI, where networks of AI agents collaborate and help humans achieve goals, solve problems and make better decisions, and even act autonomously when human intervention is not feasible or warranted. You'll bring up a chart here just to kind of refresh our viewpoint here that we have published through our research and in previous analyst angles. Obviously today, most businesses rely on what we would consider to be AI assistants. These are task-oriented assistants that take a prompt and help you automate the achievement of a task, whether it be a prediction or generating some kind of content or a forecast. Very, very effective. It's at the core of what most people use generative AI for today, and the implicit ROI is clearly there. We see AI agents taking that next major step forward that evolve from being task-based to being goal-based and helping humans, and sometimes autonomously, problem solve, make decisions, and actually achieve things that are more than just a task. So the big change here is from a task to a goal, right? And then agentic AI is when you have multiple agents that are collaborating within a network to solve more complex goals or challenges, and in particular, the ones that tend to be more organizational in nature. And the progression here is from correlative, predictions and statistical analysis into decision intelligence, into reasoning, and of course into actual problem solving. And there's going to be a technology transformation that's happening under the cover of these agents, right? They're going to require semantic reasoning, and they're going to require causal reasoning to understand cause and effect, and they're going to need to continuously learn from each other. The transition from generative AI to agentic AI is well underway. With that, I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Darko Matovski, the co-founder and CEO of causaLens. Darko is a research scientist turned technology entrepreneur. He and his team are pioneering the world's first trusted AI agents for data science. His vision is to empower everyone with their own data science team and to democratize AI for the masses. Under his leadership, causaLens has emerged as an impactful pioneer in helping enterprises transform how they make decisions, solve complex problems, and augment their talent pools with autonomous AI agents. Darko, welcome. I'm so thankful for you taking time to talk with us today.
It's a pleasure, Scott. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, it looks really nice behind you there. It's, you're over in London, correct?
Yeah, it's one of the coldest days actually in London, but it's nice and bright at least. We saw the sunshine today. It's after a few weeks.
Yeah, well, good. It's finally rained here in the Northeast. I think we went a couple of weeks without any real rain. So, but the sun's back out. Well, anyhow, I've been following quite closely, as you know, as being part of the Leadership Council and spending some time with you and your team over the last year. And the innovation that you guys are driving is really impressive and inspiring, and in particular that you're doing it in partnership with real customers. You guys have definitely been keeping busy. Can you just talk a little bit about your mission, your journey to where you are now, and where you see this all heading into the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So the real problem that we all have on our hands is that we are generating more data than it can ever be analyzed. There's an exponential growth in data. Just for people to visualize this, if you were going to take a terabyte disks and fill them with data, you could actually build 1.5 Great Walls of China with those 1 terabyte disks, right? That's the amount of data that the world is currently generating. Now, as you know, the audience would know here, we need data scientists to analyze their data. The trouble is that human data scientists have only been growing linearly, and there is kind of a capacity to how many new data scientists we can train at universities and things like that. So we're having this exponential growth in data, only a linear growth in human data scientists, and this gap is only widening. Combine that with the need or the want of large enterprises, as well as small, as well as governments in the last few years, as AI has become, a technology that everybody cares and talks about. There's now a 10x, maybe 100x more demand for doing data science. So when you combine the exponential growth of data and just the linear growth of human data scientists and the need for the world to do more data analysis, you come to a very obvious problem where we just simply do not have the humans to analyze all this data. In fact, some research we've seen has showcased that as much as 88% of corporate data has never even been looked at, right? So that's just like a massive lost opportunity for society, for companies, for governments to make better decisions, right? So the only way you solve this is by AI, by creating AI data science agents that can kind of do the work of human data scientists. Now, we're not suggesting that we're going to come up with AI data scientists to remove the need for humans. In fact, we need all the humans we can get, and we need the AIs. We need basically new types of teams in which human data scientists and AI data scientists work together in new ways, and we can kind of get go and kind of achieve this this goal of analyzing this exponentially growing data. So we at causaLens, we are on a mission to create the most reliable, most trusted AI data scientist. Or as you said, 2025 is all about agents. We can call it a data science agent if you like. Same thing. So that's really what we are on a mission to achieve, and we are already unlocking tremendous amount of value with Fortune 500 companies. It's actually kind of fascinating to see. In fact, sometimes our own team gets surprised at the speed at which we can unlock value compared to kind of conventional ways of doing this. So I'll pause there. Super happy to dive deeper in any of these aspects.
I think you're really onto something. And just to talk a little bit about the talent, I think is becoming a talent crisis. We actually published a report on the AI talent marketplace. I think it was back in October, where we did some analysis of the supply and demand dynamics around data scientists and AI engineers, as well as AI executives. And what we found when it came to the AI engineers, that there was a 2.3 times gap in the supply and demand of these type of skills. And that was in, obviously 2023 and into 2024. So supply is not keeping up with demand. In addition to that, the cost that you have to pay to get the best data scientists is even going higher. And I remember in the report that almost half of the people that have a data science job at a particular company are actually looking to potentially go to another company to make more money. Then you add to that, if you look at the universities, there's a 4.4 times gap in the demand for getting a data science or AI degree with the university's ability to actually keep up and take those people in. So it suggests that the supply and demand is only going to grow greater. So this notion of agentic AI, as we talked about a little bit earlier, right, augment human talent, do more things autonomously, make people into superpowers, give them superpowers, right? And in the area of data science, I think that's just a great idea for you guys to target, because pretty much every company I talk to, they worry about the talent pool.
That's right. Yeah, and as you know, Scott, when you're referring to the current demand, but there's so many use cases in which if the cost of doing data science was lower, or it was or the marginal cost was zero, you will actually end up doing data science. So the potential demand for data science is actually probably an order of 10 or 100, maybe 1,000 X from what we can measure today, right? Like, I can give you an example with one of our customers. They had a kind of medium impact use case that would have never been justified to be undertaken by human data scientists, because it would just be, the cost of doing that data science with humans would not be justifiable given the ROI you can unlock. But once you have an agent doing it, well, now all of a sudden it becomes economically viable, and you're kind of unlocking that value, and you're effectively creating new demand that previously was just not going to be there. Equally, there are some use cases. One of our Fortune 100 customers, they have enormously complex supply chain, 50,000 SKUs to model it, and they have amazing data science team, and really great. But it's a team of 20, and they've been trying to model the supply chain. But the supply chain got so complex that it was very hard for them to model it at a very granular level, at like a single product, single SKU, right? Now, enable those people with automation, with agents that can basically do the work of a data scientist. And all of a sudden, this team of 20 now created 50,000 models that automatically get updated every month, and they unlocked tremendous value in that process. So by making data science effectively free, you're enabling some use cases that were previously just not possible. So there's all these kind of interesting things you can do when the marginal cost of doing data science goes to zero.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we have a demo here. I think it's just a short little demo so people can see and kind of bring to life what we're talking about here. So if we can bring that up, that would be great.
Today, we want to understand how we can retain as many customers as possible by uncovering the causal drivers of retention. We'll be working alongside our AI agent to develop insights and present them in an actionable application. Let's begin by asking our agent to outline the steps needed to improve retention. As we can see, the agent has developed a plan to achieve our objective, including causal effect estimation and churn modeling. We want the agent to summarize the findings from exploratory data analysis, so it adapts the plan to do just that. Once the plan is approved, you can see the agent get to work. The agent will go through all the suggested steps, allowing you to edit and update wherever you deem necessary. Finally, we'll engage our grounding agent, a fundamental part of the workflow that enables business stakeholders to easily engage with and draw value from data science outputs. Building an app that's usable by executives, analysts, and other data scientists is as simple as clicking a button. Let's ask the grounding agent to explain the model parameters. Watch as it provides a detailed analysis of our model, breaking down the details for each factor influencing churn. We'll also task our agent with identifying customer segments most likely to churn. It swiftly provides this information and potential targeted interventions for each high-risk group. Lastly, this can also be done for specific customers across our customer base, with the grounding agent offering tailored recommendations with rationales for each suggestion. This customer churn demo showcases the power of causaLens's AI agents that help solve business problems using quantitative data, enabling them to become trusted decision-making partners across your business.
So Darko, pretty impressive. It's fair to state here that while that was a customer churn use case, the data science agent can be applied to pretty much any use case, right, as a companion to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and there's a couple of modes in which you can use these agents, right? The demo you just saw is part of enabling non-data scientists, analysts, and similar personas to be able to do data science, and that's pretty exciting because we have so many examples where the organization has hundreds of questions, sometimes thousands of questions that all go, all get sent to the data science team, and the data science team just simply taps out of capacity. They just, they're like, hey, yeah, we can do this, but it will take us 6 months, right? Now imagine if the data science team could actually prepare certain workflows, effectively more of a tailored agents for a specific use case, kind of like what you saw there, and enable the analysts to be able to self-serve without having to get in the queue for the data science capacity. So that's kind of what you saw there. We of course have agents also that are specialized in different parts of data science tasks, things like autonomously cleaning data or autonomously building models or building apps, things like that, where you can empower directly the data science team themselves so that you can make each data scientist into 100. And the flow there is a little bit different. And it's kind of like the end stage, as you had on your initial slide, and I really like your slide, by the way, really great one, really resonated with me. Once we get to the agentic AI side, kind of the final phase, we'll also have agents that are just fully autonomous that have been verified by the data scientists in the business, but that have been deployed in a way that can act autonomously. So I guess what you saw in that demo is like that middle piece where it's about enabling the analysts. We have first step is usually enabling the data scientists, and then the ultimate step is autonomous agentic AI that is just we're able to deploy in a trusted way, and it's going to do a bunch of stuff for us.
Yeah, this notion of supercharging your data science team is a great idea, and I still come across quite a few companies that actually don't even have a data science team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they got business analysts and they got people that can do Tableau and things of that nature, but they're going to need to make that transition. This is great. And actually, you guys put out on LinkedIn what I thought was a great ad, and we'll put it up right here, that I think really nails it. Hopefully you can all read that. What if everyone could have their own data science team, not in 5 years, not next year, this week? I think that kind of like nails the value proposition of where you're heading with all this, and impressive stuff. So Darko, we're all witnessing these innovation cycles, right? And it seems like every technological transformation that we've had over the last many decades, the innovation cycles are speeding faster and faster, right? As is the promise of value that innovation brings. But another thing I hear quite consistently is, can I trust these AI agents? And with the generative AI stuff, they're familiar with hallucinations and bias and the concealment of confounding effects, things of that nature. But can I really trust these AI agents? These task-oriented ones sort of have been getting mixed reviews. So what's your approach on improving trust and transparency and explainability of the people that ultimately have to use this and to make business critical decisions?
Yeah, so Scott, we think about the value proposition in two parts, and automation is extremely important, and we've been talking about that in the first part of the conversation. But automation without trust is irrelevant. It's not useful. So trust is critical, and the way we think about trust comes from actually quite a few directions. The very first thing is can we enable these agents to reason in a causal way? So causal reasoning is a very, very critical part of having trust into the agent. And as you know, we are the pioneers of causal AI. We created this category, and we have pretty exciting IP in a way that we can ground these agents in causal reasoning. So if you have causal reasoning, you are effectively have the ability to kind of build a digital twin of an enterprise or government or supply chain or whatever the case is. And you have a ability for humans to kind of verify that, so domain experts to be able to verify that. So that's one layer of trust on the modeling side. So how do we know that these agents are operating and understanding the world, the real world, in a way that the real world actually behaves? And the only way to do that is by learning the cause and effect relationships in the real world. Having a digital twin of a manufacturing process, having a digital twin of a supply chain, having a digital twin of how customers behave. That is fundamental at the modeling level. Now, there's that's very important, but not sufficient. there's other areas in which you want to be able to bring trust. So the way we've designed our enterprise platform is that it actually learns about your business context, learns about your environment. Say, for example, you're a bank. Well, it's very unlikely that your compliance team will allow you to have deep neural networks deciding on whether you provide a loan to someone, right? It's very unlikely. So in that business context, the AI agent, the AI data science agent, should know that, should maybe favor maybe a causal model or a linear model, or something that the compliance team can look at and actually approve, something that the regulators can look at and can be happy with. So that's what we call a long-term memory, where the agent actually learns from your, as this agent is acting in your business, in your environment, it's learning from the human data scientist, how do we build models or how do we build applications here? So that's really a critical part where you can bring trust. So causal reasoning, learning from humans, and learning from the organizational context are just two of the ways in which we think about trust. But it's a faceted approach, and there's many other layers that I'm happy to take you through.
Yeah, and you are someone who lives this as a core priority, right? And I know you're involved with the World Economic Forum, for example, and I believe you're involved in working with them on AI ethics. Is a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yeah, it's called it's kind of like an AI governance alliance, where some of the best minds in AI are there, and it's about kind of crafting the way to how do we, everybody knows that AI is transformative, right? Everybody knows that this is the fastest growing technology, the most impactful technology of our day. And everybody would love to have it, but we need to roll it out in a way that is safe and trusted. And so we're very passionate about this topic, and that's why we started the company with causal reasoning, because we always felt that unless you have a causal understanding of the world, it will be very hard to build agents that can decide on your behalf.
Yeah, well, one thing I've definitely learned from talking to you, not only just your team, but other vendors that are in the space, and even my youngest son is, he's over near you, going to Oxford University to get a PhD in probabilistic math. And what they tell me is that there's some super complex and eloquent technology, and math for that matter, that's under the covers, that's all anchored, as you mentioned, in causal AI and emergent trends and stochastic, kind of probability, things that I'm not going to pretend to try to understand. But when I experienced DecisionOS, which is your platform, when I went through the trial and I got the certification and all that, I was just like, wow. First of all, it brought it to life for me, but I was thinking this is democratizing this stuff for like everyday businesses. And so you start off with DecisionOS. I think that's your underlying platform for the agents. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and so in that ad that you saw earlier on theCUBE, it also said that agents are arriving December. So December is around the corner, and we're going to have a completely different look to DecisionOS than the one you've seen. So if you thought that was powerful, I would like to invite you to try it again on the 11th of December. I think it's going to be at least 10x what you experience. So the way you will experience DecisionOS on the 11th of December is essentially an environment, a completely novel, like nothing that the world has ever seen, right? A novel environment where AI agents come together with the humans to take us from raw data to better decisions in a trusted way. So it's really like completely changing the way we build AI, the way we do data science. So normally data scientists are used to kind of like IDE of some sort, like Jupyter, for example. And that's all great, of course, it's useful. But now imagine a completely different world in which it's designed agent first, And imagine that at some point, 99% of all data science work, from data cleaning to dashboards building to model building to retrieving the right data from my SQL database, all that being done by agents. And by the way, we're talking here about multi-agentic systems, right? With different specialities and ability to build your own, like this really cool stuff. And then having the human data scientists acting as the 1% backstop, validating and ensuring that whatever the agent builds can be trusted and can be put in production to kind of change our world, right? So really, the DecisionWise becomes now agent first. It's a multi-agent system that enables agents to collaborate with each other and build, take you from raw data to better decisions, and having the right ways for humans to come in and ensure that the results make sense and are validated. The most exciting part probably for our customers is going to be the ability to build your own agents for a specific use case. We're actually pretty excited. We this week we had our first customer build their own agent for a very business critical part. They're in the finance world, and they wanted to kind of have an agent that selects certain channels and the optimal allocation. And it was so exciting for them and for us to build the very first use case agent that was able to do that. And now they feel like, wow, we have a digital AI, digital data scientist that can just do this for us now every day. Previously, they had to like wait for 3 months to refresh this kind of analysis. So it is really exciting, and I do invite you to come back on the 11th of December. Try it again.
I'm gonna do that. I think it was back in March maybe that I went through the certification, the tutorial, the experience, and experiencing is believing. But I do remember every once in a while getting caught up in the Python and all that stuff. So I'm assuming, it's going to make me able to actually maybe someday
absolutely
actually do all this stuff, right? But you had mentioned an example there in finance. As I kind of wrote in the research note that we put out not too long ago on the causaLens marketplace, I think this market, the entire market, is really starting to build, and I think it's going to accelerate from here. A lot of the players to date, though, that deliver causal AI capabilities are doing it in highly industry vertical ways, like solar farms, or doing, around energy, or life sciences would be another example. You at causaLens tend to have customers that are across all different kinds of use cases and customer segments and industries, right? So more of a general purpose platform where, regardless of what your use case is, you can actually start to build, these AI capabilities and the reasoning and everything you talked about. Is that something that you see as a big differentiator for causaLens?
Yeah, so that's right. Yes, if you have built an AI data scientist, well, you expect them to actually be able to be fungible, to just be able to work on data in any industry, right? It's kind of like if you were to hire a human, well, it doesn't, there's nothing there to say that, well, this human can only work in finance or can only work in energy, right? And so that's kind of the mindset with which we're building our product. If we are serious about democratizing AI, about giving everybody access to, if we're serious about everyone having access to their own AI data science team, then this is the only way. Now, the way we approach this is that, so different data scientists have different skills, right? So you can find a data scientist that is specialized in causal AI, right? Well, great. We have Kaya, which is an agent trained specifically on our causal AI ecosystem. And of course, we have the most extensive causal AI ecosystem in the world. It goes way beyond what's available open source. Well, we created Kaya, that is a specialized agent for causal reasoning, causal AI. And that's now one of the many agents available on DecisionOS. Then we have an agent specialized in extracting data from SQL databases. Well, this is kind of like hiring an ML engineer that spent a whole life doing this. Then we have a agent that specializes in building applications. That's kind of equivalent like to hiring a UX or UI software engineer that has been building this all their life. So it's only when you put them together and you combine that with a strategic agent that can actually plan and coordinate these other sub-agents, that's when you really get a very exciting system. And we have those kind of higher order agents as well that can kind of orchestrate these specialized agents. Oh, we need a causal model for this use case. Awesome. Let's call Kaya. Oh, we need an application. Great. Let's use the DAR agent, and so on and so forth.
So yeah, I mean, clearly come mid-December, you're transitioning to a whole new, level of promise of value, right? But up to now with the causal AI capabilities, what would you say were the top 3 or so use cases that you see customers, not industry vertical wise, but things like customer churn, I think is one of them. What else are you seeing people apply this with? The causality.
Yeah. So where we've seen enormous success is when we're trying to effectively build a digital twin of something. So if you take a manufacturing process, it's a really good example because there's a physics behind a machine, right? The way it operates. So something moves here, it's connected to something else that moves here, and if this moves, right? There's a real causal relationship there. So anything that is in the physical world, like manufacturing process, it's been an amazing use case for us. And we've seen some really exciting customers there. And we just recently showcased an amazing value and close a really exciting pharma company. We are optimizing the drug manufacturing process specifically for cancer drugs. So each batch each faulty batch is about $200,000. And so just by having an AI system that can prevent this kind of downtimes of faulty batches, you're saving 200K at a time, right? So the value is just immense. So that's a really exciting use case. Supply chains are another very exciting use case. The interesting thing about supply chains is that, well, they continuously change and they're very, very complex. But then, you also need domain expertise of kind of how this works. So having a causal understanding of the world matters a lot. So this is one example where automation and causal reasoning come together, and only then you can kind of figure a huge supply chain. And then, as you said, customer churn, but that's just like one piece of a broader kind of customer related data. So it could be churn, but could be upsell, could be product recommendation, like anything like that is on enterprise data.
You haven't been a CMO and a marketing guy for a lot of my career. That's one of the areas I'm passionate about is price and promotion. Obviously, I know you have done some things there, but if I had a dime for every time a business leader would say to me or my team, I can read the damn chart, I see the numbers, talk to me about root causes, what's going on, what are you going to do about it, what are the options? And I think it's going to transform everything, including turning marketing people into true data scientists that are going to understand the causal relationships that are driving their business and what to do about attracting leads and things in the marketplace. So it's going to be a fascinating next several years. So look, awesome.
Everybody can have their own data science team, including the marketing people. Probably they'll be the first ones to adopt this technology. So very excited about that. In fact, when I was speaking to Judea Pearl, I was at his house and we were recording something like this. And I asked Judea, I was like, Judea, where do you think we're going to unlock the most value with causality? And initially he's like, oh yeah, medicine, must be medicine. And then he paused for a second and said, you know what? I think it's going to be marketing after all. Although I would have,
Yeah, more than a decade ago, it was based on gut feel, experience, opinion. I think now marketing's in the middle of being data-driven. And I think the future is going to be how do you truly apply AI, not to create content, like Gen AI stuff, but like analyzing pipelines, and you can just start going crazy imagining all the possibilities here. So look, Darko, this is awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today. It was a fascinating conversation. For our audience, to learn more, visit causaLens.com. Lots of great content out there. There's white papers, there's case studies, there's demonstrations. You know, we talked about the trial. It's a great place to go out and learn about AI agents, including agents that understand causality done right. So thank you, as always, for joining us on the Analyst Angle, and stay tuned for more research from us here at theCUBE Research, where we'll just continue to dive deeper and deeper into the rise of agentic AI. We are the leader in tech news and analysis. Bye for now.